everyone, and welcome to Canvas and Cookies Holiday Edition. Today we're going to be painting Santa, trying to get down the chimney. And I have my assistant here with me today, Andrew.
Subscribe and like for all the videos.
All right. And he's going to help me keep time so I don't go too quickly. Let's get started. You should have all the primary colors. You have yellow, red, blue, and then white and black. So go ahead and take your mixing plate. We're going to start out with our big brush, and we're going to take a scoop of white and about 1/4 to 1/2 scoop of blue. What you want to do is put that right on top of your white, and you're going to mix in a small little circle. You can push it to the center and then swirl it around. But you don't want to paint the plate. We want this for the canvas. And that should give you a nice light blue color. Make sure everything in your brush is mixed. And we are going to use this color around Santa's legs. Now you may want to use your little brush. I'm going to start out with my big brush, but at some point I'm going to switch to my little brush. Do that anytime you feel comfortable, because some of these spots are hard to get to with a big brush. As you can see, I'm turning my big brush. So instead of painting a thick line like that, I've got it turned perpendicular to the canvas, and it's giving me a nice thin line. So right now I can get around all those spaces. You want to get around the heel of his boot. And also, if you go into the boot a little, or even this white area that's the fur on his pant leg, don't worry too much about that. Those two colors will cover over this light blue. So we're not going to get too worried. I'm just going to move this over a little bit so that I can get next to the chimney. And the same thing on this side. And I'm not going to worry too much if I get into this strip, which is going to be green. We're going to add another color to our light blue mixture in just a sec, and that's how we'll make that green. Okay. So all those snowflakes that you see in the background on the original, we're going to put those in last. Our details are usually the last things that we put on. How are you doing, Andrew?
Good.
Okay. Are you using your little brush when you need to?
I actually used all big brush.
Okay. All right, make sure you get on the other side of the chimney right there. Okay, so I have a lot of this light blue left over, so I'm actually going to just take a little off to the side. That way I'll have some for decoration. And I'm going to add about 1/2 scoop of yellow to this blue. It's going to give me a really light green. So guys, if you want to use that green, that's totally fine. If you want it to be a little more green and less pastel, then you can take a little more blue and a little more yellow, and that's going to make it more of a natural green, not so light. See how that's a little greener than my original light green color? Get all that paint off your brush and mix it in. You can even put a little more blue in if you want to darken it up. All right, now this is pretty easy. All you need to do is take that paintbrush, start at the top on the right-hand side, and that space is about a width, maybe a little bit more, and you're just gonna go top to bottom. You're gonna go straight down. Then you can come back up again. So top to bottom, Andrew, okay? Then move your brush over just a little bit, because maybe it's a little thicker than one brush. It depends how much your bristles are spreading out or how big your brush is. And come straight down. I need a little more paint. And of course, if you go over the tip of Santa's boot, it's okay. We'll put that back in when we get to the black. If you want this green much darker, what you can do is rinse your brush and just mix a scoop of yellow with 1/2 scoop of blue, and that'll be a darker green. We use something that already had white in it, so it's still pretty light. So it depends what color green you want. All right, what we're gonna do is mix that color for the chimney, and we're gonna draw the whole chimney in there, fill it in, because then when we draw the bricks, it needs to be dry. So let's get that chimney color on there first. And I'm gonna rinse my brush really well. So I am touching the bottom of my cup and stirring. I'm not jamming the brush into the cup, okay? Take care of your bristles. I'm just stirring it, and that's gonna open those bristles up, and my brush is pretty clean. Then I'm gonna get the extra water out by pulling it across the top of my cup. Okay, and finally, I like to tap it on my napkin, and it should be pretty clear. That's mostly just water there. Is your brush nice and clean, Andrew? Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do then is we're gonna take a scoop of red, put it on your mixing plate. We don't need a ton, just a little scoop. And then you're gonna take just a corner of black, okay? This might even be too much. So just a corner of black, and it's really gonna change your red. It's gonna make it more of a maroonish color. I'll take the rest of that.
Mine's like a purple color.
Yeah, maroon's kind of a purple, yes. You don't want to have too much black in there. More of a brick color, yes, that looks good, Andrew. That looks good. If you have to add a little more black to your color, to your red, just add a very, very small amount because it really does go a long way. I just added just a corner more of black. All right, so this is my brick color, and I'm gonna fill in the whole chimney. And again, don't worry too much about this white part is gonna have snow, so it's gonna come over top of the edge of the chimney, so just come right up to the line with this color. Sometimes I like to put my brush at the line and pull down, and that way I know where it stops. Okay, and don't worry too much about the edge because we're actually going to put a black line down the edge. So if if the edge of your chimney is a little broken up there, we'll clean that up with an outline, okay? All right. And again, if you want a darker red, you can put a little more black in. I noticed that my example here is a little darker than what I'm painting on. You can see that this has more black in it. So if you want it to be more like this color, rather than what I have, you just add a little bit more black. But again, just add it a little at a time. All right, I'm gonna rinse my brush, and we're going to use straight red for Santa's pants. All right, so clean your brush because it has the dark red in it. And then we're gonna use straight red and fill in his pants. All right, that's one leg, and here's the other leg. If you wanna use your little brush at the top, around where that white fur is gonna be, that's totally fine. If your red is looking a little bit streaky, you can let this dry and do a second coat. Okay. Mine looks, I put it on kind of thick, so it looks okay. But if it does look streaky to you, then you may either want to put it on a little bit thicker, or you can wait, let it dry, and put on a second coat. Yes?
Okay. I was making sure that we didn't have to cover that.
Nope, that's white. You're good. Make sure you smooth out all those globs, though. You don't want any globs in your painting.
Yeah,
that makes it take longer to dry.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. All right, I don't usually do this because I like to use black last. That's usually the last color I use, but because I want to let the chimney and the pants dry, I'm actually going to use my little brush in the black, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in his boots. Now, if you covered over, it's got a little heel on it that's kind of like a rectangle, okay? And you're going to come around and make a big curve on the end there. So you may need to put that little rectangle back in if you covered over it with the background color, but black will, you can just draw that right in. There, you've got one boot, and we'll do the other one too. So you've got your little brush, and you're drawing that boot back in, and you can fill it in. Okay, how are we doing, Andrew? Oh, okay.
And I can't get this off.
Here, let me see. That's okay. So if you have a problem, you can always wet your napkin and just wipe off your paint. Okay. Yep. And this area is white. So white paint will go over the red, but because it's so dark, we do want to pick up everything we can get. So let's just try to pick up as much red as we can. Hang on, let me fold this over. That's a good one.
the video.
Okay. So what you want to do, Andrew, is go ahead and use your little brush in the black. That's, yep, yours is over there. Okay, and paint in those boots. And I'm going to mix a gray color, okay? And I'll give you some. All right, so what I still have the black in my brush. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a scoop of white, and then I'll mix it here. So I didn't take a scoop of black, I just had the black in my brush already. And I'm making a medium gray. You could go darker than this. In fact, I might put a little more black in there. You could go lighter too. This is just to draw the bricks on there. So I'm just mixing a medium gray. I don't need a lot of it, it's just for detail work. And possibly to put a little highlight on Santa's boots. Okay. Andrew, do you want some of my gray? Or you want to mix your own?
I want yours a little bit.
All right. I'm going to give you a little gray right here.
Thank you, Mom.
And again, it's black and white if you need to mix more. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Oh, my red is still a little wet. I'm going to go real lightly. Guys, you need to wait till your chimney's dry, okay? Andrew, yours might not be dry, but we're going to put 3 lines. We're going to put 3 horizontal, or sorry, we're making 3 sections. It's only 2 lines. So we're going to put 1 line here, 1 line here. These are 2 horizontal lines. So skip a space from the top. You're going to put 1 line straight across. And again, let yours dry. I'm not being patient here. So I need to maybe mix a little more gray. It's okay. Maybe I'll make it a little darker.
I didn't wait.
Andrew, if you need to, you can wait on yours or blow dry it.
I didn't wait on mine.
Okay, good.
I finished it perfectly.
All right, so I might need to go over that. And then what you're gonna do to make the bricks is you're gonna, let's say you make like a little rectangle, there, then skip another space. And they don't have to be exactly equal, so I'm gonna put 1 more right in here. Okay, then when I go to the next line, I'm gonna go in between the lines I just made. So right here, in between these 2, about midway. Okay, and see how then it looks like you have the bricks stacked on top of each other? You see that, Andrew? And then in the last line, I'm gonna do the same thing. Let me lift this up. I'm gonna go in between the lines that I just made on that second row. And I might even put one on the very edge. Okay, so that's how you're gonna create your bricks. And after that, if you wanna put a little of this gray as a very light highlight in the boots, you can use white too if you don't wanna use gray, but I'm just gonna highlight the heel of the boot and maybe the round part. And do the same thing on both. So the heel of the boot, something like that. You could go here too if you want, but we're gonna put that little white fuzz there. So just give your boots a little bit of a highlight. It can even go further around if you wanted to. And the thing is, if you put too much of a highlight on and you don't like it because the boots are black, just repaint it with black. And you can sort of take off some of that if you want. All right, so I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm gonna get it really clean because we're gonna use white. All right, I'm gonna let all of that Santa dry just a little bit more, and I'm gonna actually put some white snowflakes into our green area, and that should be dry, yeah. So here's how I draw my snowflakes. You want a nice point on your brush, and I'm just going to draw an X, and then put a straight line through it. And that's how I draw mine. People do this different ways, but I'm gonna do an X with a straight line through it. And you can make little tiny ones, so they can be different sizes as you go down, but you're just gonna put some snowflakes in this green section, okay? And then the way I'm gonna do snowflakes in the light blue section is I'm actually gonna take the back of the brush into the white, and I'm using the little brush for just little snowflakes, but you could use your big brush too. And you just wanna touch it to your canvas, and if you wanna twist a little, you can do that. You can also just draw little dots with the back end of your brush. If you wanna make them a little larger, you could always use the back of your big brush. So we're just gonna put a few in there, and don't put them like all in a row. They need to kind of be random in the background so they look like snowflakes. You can put a few in there and then kind of take a step back and see if you need more. And I usually re-dip after every one or two. Usually you need to get more paint on your brush. Okay, when you're all finished with those snowflakes, you want to wipe the back end of your brush so you don't go grab it and get a handful of paint. Okay, and I'm also going to rinse. Actually, you know what? Let's keep using the white. We can fill in the white on the boots and the chimney. All right, so I'm gonna fill in the main part with this white. Make sure your brush is really clean. And see, look, as soon as I go over that red, it's actually gonna just cover it, okay? You may need 2 coats, but white will cover over the red. It will also cover over that dark brick color. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do before we make it look snowy is we're just gonna fill in that full rectangle white. That full rectangle that's at the top of the chimney. Okay, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then what we're gonna do with white on our brush, we're gonna take our brush from one side to the other and we're just gonna make a wiggly line, okay? And that's gonna be the snow piling up. If you would like, you can also dab like this. You could actually dab the snow. That kind of makes it look like it's building up too. And you may wanna just dab over what you have, so do it a couple times. Or you, like I said, you can use that wavy line idea. However you want to do it is totally fine. But you want to make it look kind of fluffy and like it has some texture to it. So to do that, you can either do little dabs or little strokes. Make sure you're not picking up any red. If you start to pick up red, like I did right here a little bit, you can see that, you want to rinse your brush, okay? Don't keep dabbing the red all over the place. Just go ahead and rinse. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing up here. We're gonna dab along the edges. I gotta follow my own advice and rinse my brush, but Dab along the edges because this is fur. Same kind of thing, same kind of texture. You're gonna dab a little bit, or you're gonna use really short little strokes, and you're gonna put the fur over the edges. So it's not just a rectangle, right? We're filling the rectangle, that's easy. But now what we wanna do is at the edges, we wanna make it look a little bit furry. Because Santa's suit, it has that fur. All right, get it. I gotta go heavy on the white here because I'm picking up some red. Okay. All right, last thing with the white that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a little highlight on his legs. So maybe it looks, you can kind of see this looks a little bit like a knee, like there's just a tiny curve to the line. Just gonna give it just a little bit of a curve. That's my highlight. Okay, so we've got 2 more colors. We're gonna put these little red dashes in, and then we're gonna give ourselves an outline on the chimney and the pants in black. All right, so I'm gonna rinse my little brush. I'm still using the colors right from my palette. We haven't mixed anything else. And with the red, I'm going to put those dash marks in. All right. Andrew, don't worry about catching up. I'll help you in 1 sec. All right, here we go. I'm gonna dip in my black and give a nice little outline to these pants. And the key with the outlining is that you want to have a nice amount of paint in your bristles. Not too much though that it's spreading them out, and you want to use really light pressure. Light pressure is for a thin line. And then I'm going to go right up the edge of my chimney to clean that up. And on this side, it's actually easier if you start at the top and just pull the brush down. I have a bit of a challenge here with all this paint, but if you're doing it at home, I would start at the top and pull your brush down. All right, and that is my Santa Claus. So I hope you enjoyed painting with us today, and have a happy holiday.